Hello. Welcome to my Facebook Live series on love. How are you doing today? Today is February 13th, and it is Galentine's Day. So will you be my Galentine? So welcome. We're going to give a little time for people to gather and come in and get ready to talk about love and also talk about self-worth. And I think it's really important to be thinking about these issues and thinking about your own self-worth. And particularly the month of February is touted as the month of love. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day. And in light of all of that, or in the spirit of all of that, I decided that I would host this 3-series Facebook Live events on love. And I don't know, I guess it's because I started doing work with the new moon. I've become all about the shadows recently. So while we do also want to acknowledge all of the wonderful, great, awesome things that are happening in our lives with regards to love, we also want to be willing to explore the shadow sides of ourselves and about love. So welcome, and as you are coming into the live session, feel free to say hello in the chat box. And also, if you are watching this on replay, welcome to you as well. And definitely still encourage you to be engaged and active in the chat box. So why am I doing this series? So there are a few things that I wanted to share for you. So first, for those who don't know me, my name is Colette, and I am Coach Colette. And I offer a series of conscious leadership programs, both for individual leaders, as well as we bring those conscious leadership programs into teams and companies and organizations. And I was inspired to start this series, like I said, really wanting to think not just about the sunny side of love, but to talk about some of the shadow aspects. And so when I tapped back into the Rumi quote, which is what I posted in the Facebook event, I think it really serves as a great foundation for what we are going to be talking about over these next 3 weeks. And just to paraphrase that, it is that our job is not to just seek love, but also to seek and find all of the barriers to love that we have built within ourselves. And like I said, I lead new moon circles, and one of the more ironic aspects of leading new moon circles is that it has actually been enabling me to explore a lot of my shadow side and really get up close and personal. So I share that to say that any tips or advice or techniques or tools that I'm sharing, know that I've been on the other side. So I've been where you may be sitting and thinking, ooh, no, I don't want to see, don't show me the mirror, I'm not really ready. And I'm also on the same side in that I do use these tools and techniques that I'll be sharing with you. So, and then there was one other thing I wanted to talk about. And some of you, one of my friends here at CSI was like, when are you doing your live? What is it, like 1, 2, 3, go? And so the reason behind starting each of these Facebook Lives at 1:43 p.m., I was, again, doing some research, and for some reason I got this inspiration to look up what would be a love number. And so I Googled that, because we can find everything on Google. And that's when I found this 143 and started looking into that more, and found out that it's really based on the fact of the number of letters in I love you. So I is 1, love is 4, you is 3. And so I thought it might be a fun thing to do our Facebook Live series at 1:43 p.m. because I think that is the time of love, or we're going to make it be the time of love, at least for our time together. So yeah, I'm really excited to spend some time with you over the next 2 Tuesdays or 3 Tuesdays, so 2 more including today. So today we're going to be talking about self-worth and how it relates to love. Next Tuesday, we're going to be talking about forgiveness and how that relates to love. And then 2 weeks from today, we're going to be talking about intimacy and how that connects to love. So I am excited to go on this journey with you. And so I want to encourage you that whether you are, again, watching us live or on the replay, to really give yourself this time and give yourself this permission to tap into, what we talk about. The foundation of all of my programs is start within, because starting within really allows you to be able to get in touch with what's going on within yourself. And so I often say that sometimes the questions you ask yourself, or the questions we ask, are almost even more important than the answers, right? Because the questions enable you to start to develop this sense of curiosity and start to really ponder what's going on with yourself. So if you are someone who is new to all of this, welcome. And if you are someone who does this all the time, welcome to you too. And really know that there's no right or wrong. There's just what is and whatever comes up for you. So you may want to grab like a pen or a piece of paper, or open up an Evernote. I love doing that when I am in meetings or sometimes watching other live webinars or presentations to take notes in webinar. And so I'm going to grab some water here. Let's give ourselves an opportunity just to get present and take an opportunity to just ground. And I'm going to do the same thing. Just get grounded where you are and really just call in what you would like to gain from participating in this session. So ask yourself, what is it that I am hoping to learn or gain or know or recall about love? And whatever comes to mind, that's what comes to mind for you, and that's what's up for you at this moment. And I will say that when I'm sharing these tips, advice, whenever I'm doing a live session or working with clients, I always say this is all within the context of no shaming, no blaming, right? So whatever comes up for you is what comes up for you. And my job is really to be here for you, to hold space, to witness, and to witness anything that you may be sharing or thinking or feeling that's on the shadow side. And the other piece to this is to also amplify any desires or intentions that come up for you. So that is the goal for creating this container through these Facebook Live events. So I will say that I think that self-love is at the foundation of all love. And the more that you start within to understand and know what are your blocks to love, the more deeply you're going to be able to love, and that's loving yourself, right? Self-love, as well as loving others. And that is something that I know for sure. And it's something that I still do continue to work on. And it's something that I am motivated and passionate about helping others to work on. And as we get further into the live, I can share more if you are interested in working with me on a deeper level, or even exploring some of these tools and techniques on a deeper level. So, all right. So I want you to be thinking, today's topic is about self-worth. So what is one word or one feeling that comes up for you when you think about self-worth? And I'll give you a moment just to ponder that. And remember that there are no right or wrong answers. So what comes up for you when you think about self-worth? And it can be good things that come up, right? So when I've thought of self-worth for myself in the past, it's like, yes, I am worth it. I am valuable. I matter. And then there have been other times where I've just felt like, why bother? Like, what's going on? What's the point, right? So we can all shift in that spectrum along the lines of worthiness. And what I will suggest is that the more that you are connected to your own self-worth, to your own value, again, the stronger will be any connection that you can make with others. So we're talking about this within the context of love. So thinking about love relationships, whether that's romantic relationships or familial relationships or friendship relationships. And I'd argue the same thing on the professional side. The more connected you are to your own self-worth and your own value, the stronger will be your connections with others. So again, whether that's from a career perspective, a business perspective, or just interacting with people that you meet. So if we know that self-love is the foundation of all love, self-worth is the foundation of our existence, right? And so we can have various feelings, like I said, on the spectrum of worth. We can have those days where we're feeling like really excited and motivated about who we are and what's going on in our lives. And we can have those days where it just feels like we're questioning our own worth and our own value. And so what I wanted to share as part of these Facebook Live sessions and this series on love. Hey, Kathy, nice to see you. Welcome. What I wanted to share was some thoughts around how do we clear blocks to love. And so today we're going to be talking about how do we deal or address these blocks to love as it relates specifically to self-worth. And so it's really thinking about our own worth and our own value. And so there are like four steps in the process to clear our blocks to love. And so if we're thinking about it within the context of self-worth, I'm getting tongue-tied, self-worth with a TH. The first is really recognizing what is the block, right? So what is it around worthiness? Marta, oh my God, hey, Marta, great to see you. So what is it about worth or your worthiness that seems to have something stuck around it, right? So the first step is really understanding what is the block, right? So what is the block around worthiness? When does it seem to come up for you? Like, when do you feel triggered around worthiness? When are those times where it seems like, yeah, I just don't feel that sense of value, that sense of being important, that sense of that I matter, that sense of my ideas matter? Great to see you. Yes. The sense that I matter, the sense that my ideas matter, the sense that my needs matter, the sense that my desires matter, right? So when we think about worthiness, right, it can be on so many different levels, right? There's sort of the core foundation of self, right? Like I matter. And then there are nuances or levels of that, right? So some of us might feel, I know that in times of my life, professionally, like, yes, I feel like that my input and my expertise and my contributions matter, but maybe on the personal side, there were times where I didn't feel as valued. I didn't feel like my needs or my desires were being valued, right? So there are lots of different ways to look at this. And that's why I said that that your questions sometimes are just as important, or sometimes in the beginning, even more important than the answers initially, because it's really just thinking about what comes up for you around worthiness and where does that block tend to happen. So that's the first part, is understanding what is the block, where and when do you start to notice that you have these feelings of not being worthy. And then we want to start to, so the second step is we want to start to recognize the patterns. So I was kind of alluding to that when I was sharing the first step, right? So patterning is really important whenever we're doing any kind of like self-discovery, any kind of personal growth, any kind of development work. You want to start to notice what are the patterns, right? So if something happens once, it may be kind of a one-off, right? But if it starts to happen again and again and again, more than 2 or 3 times, then that can be a pattern, right? So thinking about, are there patterns in certain people that you interact with? Do you notice that, when I'm with this person, I start to question how valuable I am? Or is it a situation that impacts how valuable you feel, right? So is it on more on the work side, like I said? Is it more on the career side? Is it the business side? And again, since we're talking about this within the context of love, thinking about, are there certain connections or interactions that when you're engaging with someone, you start to feel and doubt that sense of worthiness? So first is to start to identify the blocks. The second is to start to notice the patterns. And what can also be helpful in the patterns is to start to think about, well, when did it start? When did I start feeling this way, right? Because again, when we're doing any kind of this like personal growth, personal development work, hey, Debbie, you want to be able to start to develop that sense of curiosity, right? So it's almost like you're becoming your own personal detective. You want to become like the best detective with regards to what's going on in your own life. And the other thing to remember and think about is that we do that without judgment, right? So when we start to come up with things, like I said, me doing lots of work around new moon and shadows has really tested my own ability to be willing to see what's behind in my shadows, like opening up my own kimono or like looking in the closet and seeing what's in there, and try to see that from a space of no judgment or self-compassion, right? So I would say that self-compassion is weaved into this as well, right? So just being able and willing to look at what's going on. And ironically, that leads us into step 3, which is, are you willing and ready to make any kind of a change, right? So when we talk about this, right, there's no mandatory, law or regulation that says you need to make changes in your life, right? Nobody is telling you that you have to do that. I always used to say when I was at health fairs and people would come up to me and they'd say, oh, you're a coach. You're going to tell me what to do. And I would say, no, right? That's not my role. My role is not to tell you what to do. It's to hold the space and give guidance and to give suggestions, right? So there's nothing that says you have to change. But the third step in this process is really to examine, first, are you willing? Are you willing to explore what's going on with you around self-worth and worthiness? And two, are you ready to begin to make some kind of change? Whether that's a change in your own habits, in your own growth, in learning, like, participating in sessions like this, or perhaps making a change with the people with whom you interact, right? But it's that joint locking of willingness and readiness that helps you get to that next step and that final step, which we'll talk about in a moment. So would love to hear from anyone. Feel free to type in the chat anything that's coming up for you, whether you're watching me live now or if you're watching the replay. What's coming up for you so far around worthiness and self-worth? We've been talking about the fact that first you want to understand what's going on around your worthiness for yourself, like where you are. Kind of, I'll say that we can do it like we do with tapping, right? So thinking about your worthiness on a scale of 0 to 10, where would you say you are with your own worthiness in terms of how worthy you feel about yourself? 0 to 10. And you can share publicly or just keep that as a note to yourself. But again, being aware of where you are and what's going on with that is definitely the first step for being ready to make a change. So scale of 0 to 10, and then starting to notice, where are the patterns? What's happening around this? Is it a timing? Is it a person? Is it a situation where you start to feel that number changes, right? And that can mean it goes up, right? It goes up, like, yeah, today I'm feeling like it's a 10, and then noticing the days where it might be a 2 or a 3. And again, becoming that detective and trying to figure out, all right, what's going on? What happened? What changed that made the difference in my sense of self and my sense of value? And then the third step is, am I ready and am I willing to make a change? So that's the 3 steps of clearing any blocks to love. And in particular today, we are talking about self-worthiness. Yay, self-worthiness. So the fourth step is being willing. The first step is really taking action to change the pattern. And that is where tools and techniques that I have shared in other sessions before. So tapping is one of my favorite go-to techniques, emotional freedom technique or tapping, which we may do a little bit before we close out today. Also thinking about mantras and affirmations, right? Being able to be inspired by positive messages. Also, essential oils can be a great way to reconnect to yourself, because the sense of smell, right, connects directly to the limbic system. And so what can be also great is to combine essential oils with tapping. So as you start to get a sense, 0 to 10, where am I in terms of self-worth? And then really starting to explore that using tapping and oils can really be a way to start to clear away those blocks. And so what I will say is from the sense of trying to make a change or to clear, we're going to do a little bit of a combination. I can't do oils through the Facebook Live, but I can share with you the block, the mantra, and the oil that could help you to clear that block. And we can also put up in the in the chat area links where you can get access to those oils if you'd like. So obviously, if we're talking about self-worth, the block is unworthiness, right? Feeling a sense of that I'm not worthy, I don't matter, I don't have value, right? So the way out, or the opposite, would be worthiness, right? And so that would mean things like I am worthy, I feel valuable, I feel like I matter, I feel like my ideas matter, I feel like my desires matter, I feel like my needs matter, right? So block is a sense of unworthiness. The way out is feeling a sense of worthiness. And there's one mantra that, not just one, but there's one mantra that you can consider taking on for this process. And the mantra is, I open my heart, right? And so thinking about that, what do you think opening your heart can do to help with a sense of worthiness? Think about that for a second. What do you think that opening your heart can do to improve your sense of worthiness? Any thoughts come up, feel free to type them in the chat area or take your own notes in your own private space. But if you think about the sense of opening your heart, right? It's opening your heart to be able to receive. It's being able to open your heart to accept and allow, right? And sometimes we have to open up our hearts to ourselves, right? We have to allow and accept ourselves first, right? Remember, self-love is the foundation for all love, right? So if any kind of trepidation or anxiety or nervousness came up with that mantra, make a note of that. And also be aware that we can be talking about opening our hearts. I open my heart. I open my heart to myself. I open my heart to loving myself. I open my heart to accepting myself, right? So thinking about it from that perspective. And for those that are interested on the oils front, jasmine is a great oil to be able to pair with the mantra. And if you have questions about using oils with any of this stuff, definitely message me, DM me, or send us an email at info@instepconsulting.com, and we'll hook you up and we'll share more info in the chat area with some links. So just thinking about that for a second, right? So I open my heart, right? So our heart center is in our chest, right? And from a chakra standpoint, right? So we can think about how we open our heart center. And there is the mantra that's associated with the heart center. And that mantra is YUM. So thinking about if you would like to open your heart, you can be able to get grounded as I get a little centered here. Let's see if I can do a little bit of a YUM mantra for us to open up our hearts. So first I'm going to get grounded, sit back a little bit, take a deep breath in. Another deep breath in. And then in. Ya. And isn't that amazing that in the yum, my phone rang? Debbie says, love so much. I have to catch the rest of the week. Yeah, fantastic. Please do catch that on the repeat and on the replay. So yeah, so thinking about how we open our hearts. So Yam is a great mantra for that. Thinking also in terms of crystals, I use a lot of rose quartz to open my heart. I actually have my, you probably can't see the color, but the rose quartz bracelet that I wear. And actually the charm says Wild Heart. It's a way to remind me to keep my heart open and also stay as the wild woman that I am inside. So those are some thoughts and tips and techniques on self-worth. And I'm feeling called to share and to say that self-worth and your self-worth, it's not contingent upon anything that you do, right? We all have value. So you have value. You matter. Your life matters just by the sheer fact that you are here. You matter. Your life matters just by the sheer fact that you are here. And I hope that you can receive that message. I feel called to share that message as part of this series because I feel like we can often hear so many contradictory messages to that. And I think that we can internalize those contradictory messages, and that's what also can start to mess around with our sense of self-worth. So I just want to tell you that you matter and you are special just for who you are. Okay, so we've talked about, so tapping is a way as well. So I've gone through tapping points in other Facebook Lives. So again, when we're doing tapping, it's about gauging what the issue or the block is first, starting on a scale of 0 to 10 and noting where you are with that feeling and coming up with what's called your tapping statement. So something like, even though I may not feel like I matter, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I may feel like I don't matter, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I may feel like I don't matter, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And then going through with whatever the statements are that come up for you, and using tapping as a way to clear blocks and to clear feelings of unworthiness and to clear feelings that we don't matter and to clear feelings of unworthiness. And then after you do your rounds of tapping, it's important to check back in with yourself to see where the needle has moved, whether your scale has moved up or down in that scale of 0 to 10. So that's the introduction so far that I want to share with you around clearing blocks to self-worth. I definitely would love to hear from you. So this video is going to stay up. We're going to do next week a session on forgiveness. And I definitely encourage you to message me, to type in the chat area here, or send us a message on this Start Within Facebook page. Let me know what came up for you around worthiness. What are the patterns that you have around worthiness and self-worth? Are you willing and ready to take steps to make a change? And what are some of the tips or tools that you think will work for you? Is it tapping? Is it oils? Is it mantras? Is it chakra clearing? Is it some combination of all four? Trust me, I have those days where I need to do all of them. I'm like meditating with crystals on my body, and I'm doing the mantras, and I'm doing my tapping, right? Because some days we really need to bring all of the tools to bear. So before I wrap up, we're going to have the last thing I'm going to do is share our song with you, but I want to say a few things. First, if you want to have a conversation, just me and you, one-on-one, I am offering a Start Within activation session. So you can message me, and that's something that anyone that's watching this session, either live or replay, can take advantage of. Two, I will say that if you are a woman and you live in New York City and you are watching this either today, the 13th, tomorrow, the 14th, or even on the 15th, I want to let you know that our next New Moon Circle is on Thursday, February 15th, and it's going to be here at CSI in Chelsea. And it's New Moon in Aquarius, and it's like solar eclipse, and it's Chinese New Year, so there's all sorts of energy happening, and it's a really great time to tap in and set intentions. So we'll also share the Facebook event page on this for you. And lastly, if you are a woman who lives outside of New York City and you still want to tap into new moon energy, yes, you can. And we've created our new moon community on Mighty Networks. So we'd love to have you become a part of the new moon community and be able to participate in the circles virtually, as well as stay in touch online. So we'll share information, but definitely feel free to DM me, message me, or in the chat. All right, so I want to share with you before we close a song that I found, because I find that music can really help to be able to also move things that can be stuck within us. So we've got tapping, we've got mantras, we've got oils, we've got chakra clearing, we've got crystals, and we also can use music. And when I found this song, I literally typed into YouTube, "I am worthy," and this was the song that came up. So again, I want to thank you so much for being a part of this experience. I'm so excited to continue this conversation with you about love and helping us to clear blocks to love, because the more we clear the blocks, the more deeply we can love. And we all know that the world can use way more love. All right, so bear with me.
Of my own
and speak my truth. I am strong and I express myself, and I am worthy of my own love. I am worthy of my own love. So thank you, everyone. I just shared the title and the artist of that song in case you want to listen to the full rendition. It's very powerful, and if you watch it on YouTube, she's got some fantastic images that go along with the song. So I echo, you are worthy of your own love, and I will see you next Tuesday at the time of love, 1:43 p.m. Eastern. So I'm saying goodbye, wonderful, namaste, happy Galentine's Day, and happy Valentine's Day. And yeah, we'll be in touch. Namaste.